regular session, August 30th, 2022 at 9:05 a.m. held in the Marshall County Election Center at 107 South First Avenue, Marshalltown, Iowa. We are called to order. Notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate. Any roll call vote will follow. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sherry, would you call the roll, please?
Lawson.
Here.
Patton.
Here.
Thompson.
Here. Item 4 on our agenda this morning is approval or amendment of the agenda. Entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve the agenda as printed. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Lawson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes, motion carries. We do have a proclamation this morning. We have Darcy here that would like to read it. And we'll have some comments from Jordan Gaffney, the county attorney, and Darcy. Darcy, you're on deck.
Thank you. Marshall County, Iowa, Proclamation of the Board of Supervisors. Proclamation of September as Recovery Month in Marshall County. Whereas, according to the Treatment Episode Data System, Iowa has the 7th highest number of methamphetamine use disorder treatment admissions in the United States. And whereas, according to the Centers of Disease Control, 22% of Iowa adults report binge or heavy drinking. And whereas, according to the Centers of Disease Control, 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental illness in a given year. And whereas, according to the Iowa Governor's Office of Drug Control Policy, the first of the month, 2022, resulted in the seizure of more illicit opioids and fake pills than all of 2021 in Iowa. And whereas behavioral health is an essential part of a person's wellness, and whereas prevention and treatment of mental health, substance use, and co-occurring disorders is effective. And whereas recovery is essential to the well-being of a person and the community.
There. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Marshall County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim September 2022 as Recovery Month in Marshall County to raise awareness in our community, to assist and celebrate more people in achieving sustained long-term recovery, and to encourage all of Marshall County to observe and support Recovery Month for 2022. Jordan and Darcy, you guys got some comments?
I just want to thank Darcy starting out for reading the proclamation. Important to recognize those folks who are working hard in recovery to overcome addiction and disorders. And I just want to extend my gratitude to Satusi and to all our community partners who help us to fight this fight and continue to fight this fight in our community, because it's a big part of what we do in the county attorney's office is fighting substance use disorders. So I just want to extend my gratitude to you and encourage those in recovery to continue doing the good things you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. If you have some remarks, you just go right ahead.
Sure. I certainly appreciate this opportunity to be able to read the proclamation and to be able to represent Satusi. We work really hard in this community. Our heart is at it to help people who are struggling with substance use disorders and mental health disorders. Just kind of to let you guys know, many of you may know that Center Associates, we share a building with them. And last Friday, they moved to their new building. So we are in negotiations to hopefully be able to take over the whole building with the goal of expanding services to better meet the needs of our current clients. We are licensed by the state of Iowa and CARP accredited, so we can provide substance use disorder treatment, gambling treatment, and mental health treatment to ages 10 and above. So we look forward to expanding and being able to provide services for our current clients and those that are there.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Age-wise, you cover all age groups then?
We do,
Mhm.
we do.
Any particular age group, the most used?
I would say probably your late 20s to early 40s, maybe kind of what we see primarily of.
Mhm. Okay,
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
We do have a motion in the second line for
Mr.
this
Chair,
item.
I would make a motion then to accept the proclamation of September as Recovery Month in Marshall County.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion in the second to approve this proclamation. Any further discussion, comments, or concerns? Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Malavik,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes, motion carries. Item 6 on our agenda this morning is the consent agenda. Approve regular session minutes of August 16th, 2022. Approve claims as audited and authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. The listings of claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid in the current month will be published as part of the first meeting the following month. File clerk of district court report, July 2022, general supplemental fund surcharge, $344.35. We do have 2 manure management plans on our agenda this morning. Bill Helvalka, section 28, ID number 61559 at 1413 Wallace Avenue, Marshalltown. No changes were made. Also, Jeff Brea, ID number 65417 at 1951 Hart Avenue, State Center. Also, no changes made. This is the end of the consent agenda. Entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Malavik,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes, motion carries. Item number 7 this morning is personnel changes. Approve new hire Sheriff's Department Deputy Andrew Cole, permanent full-time at $28.37 an hour with a start date on or after 9/12 of 2022. Sheriff Phillips, do you have any comments this morning?
Yes, I do, Chairman. Andrew Cole has over 14 years of law enforcement experience, and many of those are right here in our community with the Marshtown Police Department. I think Mr. Cole is going to be a great addition to our staffing here at the Marshall County Sheriff's Office. He also comes with drug recognition expert certification as an instructor. What I'm hearing is he's one of the top 2 instructors within the state of Iowa. So I think this is going to be a great addition to the Sheriff's Office.
Well, it looks as though you continue to improve your team on a weekly basis. Congratulations. I'll entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve new hire Sheriff Department Deputy Sheriff Andrew Cole, permanent full-time at $28.37 an hour with a start date on or after 9/12/2022.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve this new hire. Any further questions, comments, or concerns?
I'd like to say I'm just really thrilled that Andy is coming here to be part of the sheriff's team in Marshall County. This was a great catch.
I will concur. I've known Andy Cole for a number of years. He's a high-quality individual. This is a tremendous addition. And Andy, after the vote, welcome to our county family. Any other questions, comments, concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Malavik,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes. Andy, welcome to the family. Item number 8 this morning is approval of the band shell rental and set the fee for Marshalltown Arts and Civic Center. Use of the band shell for the grand opening event, September 18th, 2022. Discussion and possible motion.
The band shell is a timely thing for our building and grounds to do and move and it's kind of a complicated piece of machinery actually. And we've been at the $450 for some time. So at this point, then I would for now move again to set the fee at $450 for Marshalltown Arts and Civic Center. Use the band shell for grand opening event September 18, 2022.
If I may,
Yes.
I'm Nancy Burke. I'm with the Marshalltown Arts and Civic Center. I'm new to the position as Director of Operations. And our grand opening will be free to the community. We will not be earning any revenue during this event. And we've asked numerous community vendors to be there to sell their products, but then again, we will not earn anything from them. And since we are not technically open yet, we do not have a revenue stream coming in. And our goal for this public opening is just to make sure that everybody that lives and works in Marshall County feel welcome at the Marshalltown Arts and Civic Center. So I was just hoping that you would consider waiving part of the fee or the fee. If not, I will pay for it personally.
Just to kind of catch up here, there are some people who have come forth anonymously to take care of this. So before the morning is over, I'm sure that those people will take care of that in full. So just for you to know that.
Okay.
And the other thing is, if we start giving some people it for free, then the next one wants it for free, and we have, every time we move it, we have costs, and we have to get this is too big for a pickup, so we have to find a bigger truck to pull it, and Lucas has to get people from his staff to come, and it takes time and it's cumbersome for us that way. So that's the reason for that.
I
And
understand.
but anyway, I want you to know that there are some anonymous people coming forth on this thing. Okay.
All right, thank you.
I will share also that we cannot, the auditor of the state won't let us do that type of a transaction.
Okay.
Because you would think nonprofits could help out other nonprofits.
Uh-huh.
Not the case. We have to have some sort of service from you to be able to do that. So it's just kind of some new, it's been a new focus of the new auditor of the state. And so we have to follow the rules. We don't have to like them, but we do have to follow them.
Right.
We're told that
Thank you.
it's not in the best interest of the taxpayers for us to.
Mhm.
That
donate
comes
kind
from
of
the
thing.
auditor.
Yeah, from the
Mhm.
state auditor.
Yeah.
So, and they're starting to clamp down on those kind of things.
Mhm.
Immensely.
They used to be just kind of a hand slap, but it sounds like now that's
Oh,
changing.
maybe I
So,
wouldn't want anybody to get in
No.
trouble. So, yeah. Well, thank you for considering it. Thanks.
If I may add to, offering the stage at $450 is a contribution to the community anyway, because from my experience, you couldn't rent this stage for $900.
Much less get it set up,
Yes.
tore down, or monitor it during the opening. The $450 fee, as long as I've been a supervisor for 12 years, has not been increased. And quite frankly, it doesn't totally cover the costs. We try and keep it as low as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
You don't have a second.
We have one motion on this, but I do need a second,
do you need a second?
please.
I would
So you
second that.
take 2 seconds.
Let me
if you'd
just
like.
think about this.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor, set the fee at $450. Any further discussion, questions, or comments? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Slosson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes, motion carries. Hope your welcome goes over well.
Thank you.
Item number 9 on our agenda this morning is to adopt resolution 2022-0030, abatement of real estate taxes at 719 4th Avenue. Jarrett, you want to speak to this, please?
Yeah, this is one of the city of Marshalltown got it through the court order 657A. So that code section says it's required to free and clear of taxes. So yeah, that one's at 719 North 4th Avenue.
Do you know what they're going to do with the property?
I don't know what they're gonna do, and I do know they got a list of others that are working on the same thing, and the same firm they're using, there's other, the city, Mason City's doing a lot of these too, with the same 657A, so we've done, well, like 10 of them in the last year, and I anticipate more to come, so.
This seems like more than we've had in past years. Are we catching up from the tornado and the derecho, or
I would guess
people
that's what they're
abandoned?
doing. I think City Marshall is just being aggressive, going after any nuisance properties that are abandoned.
Okay,
And it's good that they're on top of that, because you get behind that, it snowballs quick, so. We'll be interested to see if other of the small towns start utilizing this as well. I do know that there's some legislation to allow the county to do this if there's any properties out in the county, so. That's a problem that comes up, it's something we can look at too with the county, but we haven't heard of any of those yet, at least it's come to my attention, or I don't think it's come to your attention either.
Of the $1,192 that's being avoided here, how much of that is the county share, do you know?
I didn't look that up on this parcel. If it's in the city of Marshall, I guess it's in the 20-30% range of that.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain motions on this item, please. Adopt.
Mr. Chair, then I would make a motion to adopt resolution 2022-0030, the abatement of real estate at 719 4th Avenue in Marshalltown.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes, motion carries. Item number 10 is table. Bill, do you want to leave the table?
no, Mr. Chair, I would move to remove from the table this motion to be discussed and possible action.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to remove this item from the table. Sherry, would you read the roll call vote, please?
Solosik,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes, motion carries. It is on the table. Go ahead, sir.
okay, we've got some funds here on ARPA, and Kim or Rhonda, can you step in here on the actual? I've got 100 and 400,000, but can you
Yeah,
split that out for us?
The main thing before Rhonda starts is that should say update. It's not actually a request for funding. The funding was already approved. Yeah, and it was approved by ARPA committee and on the minutes of the Board of Supervisors. So,
This is just an update. So when we came forward, the $100,000 is for the recorder system. So that's why you have the two different amounts. The $100,000 is for the recorder system. So that's still going forward. The $400,000 is for the backup site. So we had to look at this very specifically and for best cost savings. So the original plan, what we wanted to do, it's still a backup center, but where we wanted to put it was out of the SO. There were some very specific things with that, and the sheriff can actually jump in here as far as the roofing problems, but the idea was to use a directional system that would basically be able to allow us to have the communications. The problem with that is the roof is not going to be able to support that, so it would cost, there's a lot more cost that would go into that, floating roof, so on and so forth. So what we had to do is, okay, so now we have to get this tower. Now, the problem is you're looking at a cost of $32,000 versus $250,000. So that completely blows that budget of $400,000 to be able to put that back up outside out of the SO. So what we decided to do is, and it actually works out better for all of Marshall County, is we're going to have a backup system in a command center. That way you can, regardless of where the disaster hits, we can move that command center to any location. It helps in several other cases as well. So like, let's say it's not a derecho that hits all of the county, it's a tornado. We can move the communication center to that area so that they have those better communications. We can utilize this more than just for the backup site. We can use this for EMA. We can use this for the sheriff's office. We can use it for Marshall County. So it actually, in the essence of the one specific, it actually creates a whole new It is still our backup site, so obviously 911 takes precedence over it because if we need it, we have to occupy it, but we can also occupy it conjunctively with other systems. So EMA can be part of that. And it still fits in within the $400,000. Otherwise, there's just not enough money because you'd have to have that tower for $250,000. So those are the updates, but it's still the original request of the 911.
Okay, and what I understand and visiting with Kim over the so that you're looking at a trailer pulled by
Yes.
a large pickup or truck or something.
You can do it one of two ways. The best way to do it is the trailer. It allows you a little bit more space, being pulled. It's a little bit less of a cost savings, and then you don't have a motor that's sitting there that you would have continuous thing. And so in the long run, you're looking at a better, you can use that as a dual thing as well, because then the truck can also be used for doing supplies and doing other different types of things. So, and it still fits within that mold of the request.
Do we have some place to put that inside when it's not being used?
I've talked to Joel about that. We don't have an inside location, but we're going to restore that out of the SO so that it's in a gated area. He's got a spot out there that we can store that, and it'll be in a safe area, plus with good security because it's out of the SO in the gated area.
And that's where my trailers are too, and then public health trailer also.
Oh, so you're not out on the south?
I have a couple of them.
Oh, you got more than one? Okay.
Yeah, I have several trailers. I have my CERT trailer, my animal sheltering trailer, and my EMA trailer.
Okay.
The EMA trailer is kind of just a mobile just for EMA. But yeah, the current situation is the sheriff's office has the old Winnebago, and Joel knows that's been on its last legs for a long time. And then we had a mobile command center that used to be at the Marshtown PD. They stripped that down several years ago and it was outdated and got rid of that. That one was very, very useful and very much used. And it was used throughout the county. So this would kind of be replacing that somewhat because it can go
with the exception that now you have the 911 component, because those other trailers, you didn't have a backup, and that's what we were excuse me. We were truly trying to be able to accomplish. So with the trailer, we're going to be able to have a section that we can completely separate off. That way it can, again, you can have EMA in there. You can have, the SO in there. You can have 911 in there, and they'll be, completely separate and be able to still work conjunctively in the event of a disaster. And that's the major purpose of being able to do this. So although it didn't work in my original plan, it still gives me my backup side. And to be completely honest, it serves Marshall County better. Yeah.
Because it can go to any jurisdiction. So yeah, being multi-jurisdictional and mobile definitely is got a big bonus to it. Instant command, being able to access part of it so that you have an instant command post, but also being that close to the backup center. And if it's not being a backup center, if your communications is currently working, you can still put tactical, which we worked on at the last exercise, tactical dispatchers at your location.
Exactly. So, and that's kind of the other thing during any of these exercises, being able to work conjunctively together. So my tactical dispatchers that where you had witnessed them, they would have been able to be inside that command center, whereas the way that it was built and structured, there was really no way to do that. So it also helps with being able to work together as a team, because when you look at emergency services, that is a team, and you have to be able to work all together. So, and that's why we wanted to make sure that you guys had the update as to what the new direction is. It solves everything that I want to be able to accomplish, being able to have that backup side, plus it not just being in there like once or twice a year or in the event of a disaster. It's going to be utilized so that it's we're always making sure that everything is up to date. I don't have to go out, once a month and do all the tests. It will be used enough that it will be continuously, serviced and that everything is working appropriately and functioning the way that we need it to function.
Had incidents, for example, I know law enforcement incidents, and Joel can speak to that. How many times we could have taken out a trailer where maybe the Winnebago didn't work so well, or didn't work up to the capacity. It doesn't have a lot of room in it. I'll let you speak to that, Joel.
Yeah, I think it's a Bluebird, 1979 Bluebird.
Okay.
It's served its purpose. I think it's about 20 years past its prime, but is moving into that antique stage. And with James and Lucas, we're having a hard time finding some replacement parts when it comes to door latches. Roof currently leaks right now, and so we're having some structural issues. And then with the updating with the equipment inside, obviously that's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit, where we need to bring that up to speed. But we don't want to invest the money into a vehicle that has some age to it, that is kind of on its last leg, I should say.
Again, this all falls under the ARPA funds that were originally designated.
It falls under our original request.
Yeah,
So-
so we don't have to ask,
It's already in
it's
there.
just
Yeah.
updating, yeah.
We just wanted to provide you a good update, so you know exactly kind of where we're at and what we're doing and how much better it helps Marshall County.
Is the amount of money that you're planning is still the same?
Still the same.
Still the $500,000?
Well,
Yeah.
100,000 for my recorder, 400,000 for,
Yes.
so it's
Yeah.
still the same.
And I don't think we broke that out in the ARPA spreadsheet.
Yeah,
I think we did.
Yeah,
Did we?
it is.
Yeah, we did.
And then there will be some funding that comes through my budget separately for hazardous materials that has to be set aside by law for hazardous materials that can go into
That can
that.
go into
So that will help to outfit it, so she can focus on communications and I can focus on some, emergency operations center or incident command center equipment. So we're able to put money towards that as we go. And then we're looking at vehicle
Right.
too, so.
And then also looking at it in the form of the tactical dispatcher, because even as I left, my tactical dispatchers are being utilized. So that's going to be something very, very beneficial, that eventually they'll be able to go out in, the command bus and be able to work, solely there. So that's also allows for more cross training, so that they understand the other sides. And it's just as important for our responders to understand the other side of us, how dispatch works. Just like when you came in and being able to witness what you did, it gives you a whole new insight as to the specialty that 911 can offer.
Probably had 30 or 40 different law enforcement people of one or another.
Yeah.
And I was impressed they did. And I was there because Kim was gone, but I was there to watch how 911 did their job. And I got to brag about it. The way they run the test, stress is developed, just like it's a real deal. And 911 handled it fantastically. I was very impressed with these young ladies, and they were doing a great job.
They are an amazing team. I am very blessed with a very, very amazing team. We've been able to build a lot of the last 3 years. And they're a good, very, very good group.
Yeah.
You're right, I did misspeak. So it's under 100 and then under 400. We did approve it. It was approved at the 12/21/21 Board of Supervisor meeting.
So we really have to do nothing here then.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like when I'm doing the siren updates, just kind of an update to keep you guys abreast of what we're doing.
Okay, anything else on this? All right, let's move on to item number 10B. This is also tabled. Bill, do you want to remove it?
I would move to remove from the table the item that was tabled here on the SARA system relating to emergency communication.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to remove from the table.
I need
Yep,
I need
go
just a
ahead.
moment.
Please. Sure.
Anybody got Jeopardy questions?
Alex?
I can sing it, but it wouldn't sound very good.
What's that?
I can sing it, but it wouldn't be very good.
Oh.
I can try, but it wouldn't.
Mhm.
So that.
I'm just waiting on him, just a side note, we do have some places that we're gonna be going along and looking at these trailers.
Yeah.
So that we can walk
I feel like
through,
we've got some duplicate.
look at other people's trailers, we've got some at state level, some other counties, but also pull together a group of different specialized
Yeah.
trailer providers.
And
And they're not pre-made.
No.
No,
Yeah,
these
we-
are all specialty made for exactly what you want. The goal here is to make it just absolutely as best we can for Marshall County. Get several different functions of what we do in emergency services. I'm really excited. Marshall County is gonna have a huge
And
impact.
most counties do have communications or an instant command trailer that goes. Marshalltown, like I said, had the trailer, it had some comms in it, but it outdated, and so they, basically scrapped it and they didn't redo it. So, yeah, not having one has impressed.
And between all of us working, we go somewhere over that halfway, I think we've had sometimes. And check.
Question. The first thing we just talked about that we untabled, which is your communication, backup communication. That's not what it says here on 10A. Public safety tower and radio equipment. Or is that verbiage, was that supposed to go under 10B?
I think that was supposed to go under 10B.
That's kind of what I think. It's just in the wrong
Yeah.
spot
Yeah.
because
Yeah, the first part, the MCC request for county
funding was the
right.
ARPA.
Yeah.
That's the
verbiage should have
ARPA
been
stuff.
under
Okay.
10B.
yes.
Yeah,
So that,
consider, yeah,
I was like, wait, what?
from consider
Okay,
all the way down.
for
yeah.
10B, we do have a motion and a second to remove from the table. Any further discussion, questions, or comments on that? Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes, it's off the table. Bill, walk us through.
Well, the SARA system, this affects our sheriff also. Joel, have you had any opportunity to use the SARA system in some of your trips?
Yes, we do, Mr. Patton. We do at times communicate with our counties that we travel through. We coordinate some inmate transfers, and if we happen to run across those instances outside of our county where we need law enforcement or public safety to respond to those things, we can communicate with those jurisdictions. So it's a very useful tool throughout the state of Iowa, and it does have some of its issues with our radio system, but it's more or less kind of a user configuration. But we're working through those. But it's very handy to be able to talk to those jurisdictions as we travel through the state of Iowa.
In the counties that I talked to, they said there were 15 counties with the possibility of 3 more counties adding on to the SARA system. So you could travel quite an area within central and eastern Iowa and still have people who would jump in and help you if there was a problem. Did I interpret that correctly then?
That is correct.
Okay, and relating back then up to what we just talked about here, and talking with the other counties, it was my impression there's not money involved here. This is all on the volunteer help side. Is that, Joel, is that also?
That is correct. There's no cost to the county. This is part of the interoperability system.
Yeah,
So at this time, we're just authorizing the application, correct?
Correct.
okay.
Does this involve a 28E agreement then of any kind or no?
Well, with that, then I would move to approve of the application for the SARA system relating to emergency communication.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the application for the SARA system. Any further questions, discussions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Paulson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes. Motion carries. Moving on the agenda is public forum. This is a time set aside for the public to make comments on topic of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in public forum. Who's got anything for the good of the order? Nan?
I could mention the September 13th, we have a special election in this county. It's just up north. It's for BCLUW School District. So it will only be, we will only be utilizing the Liscum polling location for this one, but we are currently doing absentee voting at the bank. So, and it's for a couple questions concerning their funding for BCLUW School District. There's a couple others that impact a few of our voters in this county, but they will be going out of county to do their voting because there was, so one of them we had 9 voters. So they'll go to the other county.
Are you able to do this with your own people or do you still have to use volunteers?
We still have to hire folks for there at Liscum. Lucas's team gets the equipment there and back, but we won't need to do training since we just had a election in June. So it's all folks that we used at that election.
Anybody else for the good of the order?
September is Preparedness Month. The theme this year is a lasting legacy. It says the life that you've built is worth protecting, prepare for disasters to create a lasting legacy for you and your family. So I'll be putting out more information.
you got a lot of schools coming up, correct?
Got a lot of there's a lot of classes opening back up. I've been sending a ton of emails out the last few days. As you know, a lot of them were put on hold or put on virtual. Some of these classes you just can't do virtually, you have to be in person. And so there's a lot more for the elected officials opening back up. 911 class that's actually really good for elected officials to bring them up to speed on what 911 boards are and how that works. Yeah, several of those that I've posted. So definitely take advantage of those. They're free classes. They do take the time, but they do bring you up as far as knowledge, up to speed on things.
Will we be closed Labor Day for our public offices?
Yes, that is a federal holiday and on our holiday calendar. So Monday the 5th, Monday the 5th, we will be closed. On Wednesday, September 14th, the bank is going to be closed in the afternoon for a community service day. However, we've worked out with bank staff that we will be able to remain open and folks will come up the north doors. So we'll have signage on the east and west door to let people know. It seems like people are pretty used to going to the north door normally, but now that everything's opened, I still see people come in all directions. So the signage will let folks know, but we will remain open and have to exit the bank a little bit earlier that day, right at 4:30, 4:40, trying to get all of us out of there, which sometimes is a challenge with the customers. But
Anything else?
I did want to mention, so we recently, about a month ago, changed to our new phone system. It's basically an upgrade of the phone system that's on state shared services. So one of the things that we've been working through, and it's taken up a significant amount of my time over this last month, and then of course through vacation and such. We're having an issue with our admin lines. Now, the reason I bring that up is because it's a little bit hard to track. There's not an automatic notification of, hey, this isn't working, because it's an intermittent thing. And basically it's when too many people call in at once. So there are those occasions where we do have a big issue and a lot of people are calling at once and we get those voicemails. The reason I'm bringing it up is if anyone calls into dispatch on an admin line, it doesn't affect 911, but on an administrative line, please, when you call back, let them know, hey, I went to voicemail, just letting you know on the admin issue, or just call me directly, because I need to make sure that I'm keeping track of that to ensure that there's no problems. One of the discoveries were the licenses they issued were not adequate. They caught it with us because of all the counties in the entire state of Iowa, they have not caught this issue yet. And the issue has been happening with all of these other counties. But they caught it with us because of how busy we are. So that's where everything's kind of stopping. So they were able to fix that issue, but we did have another issue after that fix. So I'm still trying to track that down. Bottom line, if you call an admin line and you get sent a voicemail, please make sure I'm aware of that. So when you call back, just let them know, hey, I got sent a voicemail, and they'll tell you, okay, it was extremely busy in here, or there was nothing going on. Okay, what's going on? So, and then that'll indicate to them that they need to notify me while we work through that issue.
Okay.
So no issues for Marshall County. If anyone has an emergency, everyone can still call 911. It's just I'm working through that issue with the admin lines. And the only way I'm going to know about it is if I'm, we're told about it, because we can't, there's not an automatic indicator to let me know. Not yet. I want to make sure.
I'll share it.
Thank you. And it's an ongoing thing. So it's been, I've been trying to kind of track it down without causing any, because I don't want anyone to think that there's, issues with services. There's not.
Okay.
But I need
Anything
to
else?
make sure our admin lines are working.
Sherry.
I have a question about 10A. At the last couple of meetings, there was a request from the Marshall County Communications Commission on the Evans Beamer for the county to set aside funding for radio support or tower access, or so it wasn't related to the ARPA monies. It was the request that Brad Fox had brought up the last couple of meetings.
So it didn't really officially make it on this
So there
agenda
was-
then, is that?
I didn't have your update on the agenda.
So
I had the tower, the
Well, we didn't
MCCC
talk about the right
request
thing.
for funding.
What you
So
meant to
I didn't know
table, or
about
do you wanna leave that
your
table?
update.
The only thing is that it wasn't an MCC request for funding. It was the recommendation of the board. So I think that's where it got confused.
I'm gonna go back.
Because it's not a
Reopen
request
10.
for MCC. It's
If you want
the
to
request
table,
is
go
right.
ahead. If not,
It's
leave it.
basically, you're talking about the reference to the,
Your TOB or whatever it was, asking
Yeah.
for the county to set aside funding for radio equipment.
that was
or-
the recommendation.
Yes, so that's what was tabled.
Right, so that would have been under the recommendation. It was just.
So we did
That
not
makes total
discuss what,
sense.
we did not discuss then what was supposed to be discussed.
Right.
And you just provided information on that, which was, we could say was under public
There we
forum,
go, that's under public forum.
because no decisions were made. There was
Right.
nothing that needed to be done.
So we probably need to go back.
Let's
10A.
go back to 10A
Okay.
and revisit this
And
and
start over.
start on that again. Bill, would you like to leave that tabled, or would you like to remove it from the table?
Let's leave it tabled for now.
It's currently removed from the table though right now. That's where we left it.
It is removed from the
Do you
table.
want to put it,
Want to do it
right
again?
back on?
Okay. I'll move the table the motion until next week.
Okay. We have a motion to leave it tabled. We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to leave that item tabled. Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Slosson,
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes. item is tabled.
And,
Do you
and
want
just
to
for,
leave that tabled until
till the
our next
next
regular
meeting?
meeting?
or do we need a special in the meantime?
We're waiting for information from other counties, correct? Bill?
Then let's
Yeah.
not set it
Let's-
necessarily
Yeah,
for
let's-
our next meeting
yeah.
because you may not have that.
So that is
information.
what we're waiting on to know.
Yeah, and I would add TOB to that, just so we know that instead of MCCC, I know it falls under that. I would put a.
Put MCCC/TOB.
What
And then
information,
recommendation.
what information do you need from outside counties?
The way they budget their access fees. That's what.
We've got a lot. We don't need. We can do whatever we want, I guess is what it comes down to. We own this.
Correct,
Okay.
we just wanted to have something to.
And I've got info with 5 different counties.
Okay. Bill, how long would you like to leave this table?
I'd, at least till the next
Or do
meeting.
you not
So-
want to put a date on it? Just leave it tabled?
Just leave it tabled for now.
Okay.
Okay, let's leave that item tabled without any date when it will be brought up next.
Can we change it to no action on 8/16 and then just leave that so we remember when it was put on the table initially?
Sure.
Well, and Brad's done a lot of research on that, so maybe if you could send that to the Board of Supervisors, because he's got quite a bit of research on it that he's done. It.
I've had it for the last 3 meetings. It would be better to be shared in context than just pushed out.
Okay. All right. We have had public forum. Is there anything else for public forum? All right. Moving on our agenda is adjournment. The next regular session is September 13th, 2022 at 9:05 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the Board of Supervisors office by Wednesday, September 7th, 2022 at 12 p.m. There's really no further business to come before the board. This meeting is adjourned at 9:52 a.m. Thank you.